Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I first heard the idea the night everything shifted. I came home from work around 7, tired, hungry, ready to sit down for a few minutes. Instead, I walked into the living room and found Erica, Claire, and Nina spread across the couch with wine glasses on the table. They were laughing about something, loud enough that I could hear them from the hallway. "Evening," I said as I stepped in. Nothing, not even a glance. They just kept talking, all three of them speaking over each other. I thought maybe they didn't hear me, so I tried again, louder this time. "Hey, everything all right here?" Still nothing. Claire sipped her wine. Nina scrolled through her phone. Erica looked past me like I wasn't standing in the middle of the room carrying takeout bags. It felt strange, but I didn't say anything. I walked to the kitchen, set the food down, and listened. Their voices dropped to a murmur, too low to make out. Every few seconds, one of them glanced my way with the kind of look you give a coat rack. There, but not worth noticing. An hour later, they left. Erica didn't say goodnight to them at the door. She whispered something, nodded, and walked upstairs without a single word to me. I followed, unsure what I had done. When I reached the bedroom, she was already under the covers, facing the wall. "Are we going to talk about whatever this is?" I asked. No movement, no answer. I went to the guest room and lay awake for a long time. Around midnight, I got up for water and heard her phone buzzing. She whispered quickly, but the walls in our house were thin. Claire's voice came through clearly. "Stick to it. 30 days. No talking, no reacting. You'll break first." Erica whispered back, "I can do a month. He needs to feel it." That's when I understood. This wasn't about a fight. This was a plan. Her friends told her to ignore him for a month, and she agreed. They treated it like a game, a challenge. I stood in the hallway, listening. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt something settle inside me. Quiet, steady, final. If they wanted silence, I could do silence. Just not the kind they expected. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm, made coffee, and cooked a simple breakfast. Erica came downstairs 20 minutes later. She walked past me. No good morning. No nod. No acknowledgement. All right, I thought. She wants 30 days? Let's see how it feels. Usually, I'd pack her lunch, set out vitamins, and make sure her purse had everything she needed before she left for work. That morning, I didn't move from my chair. I ate, cleaned my plate, and grabbed my keys. When I passed her in the hallway, I said, "Have a good day." She blinked once, like she heard something faint in another room, then walked away. That afternoon, I came home early and headed straight to the garage. My old woodworking tools sat on a shelf, dusty from neglect. I hadn't touched them in almost a year. Erica always said the noise gave her headaches, and the sawdust made the floors dirty. I used to follow those rules without thinking. I grabbed a plank of maple and started sketching a small table. The smell of wood and machine oil hit me in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. It cut through the plank cleanly. It felt good, honest, real. An hour later, I heard footsteps. Erica stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. She didn't say a word. She couldn't, not with her 30-day rule, but her expression made everything clear. She didn't like the sound, the mess, or the fact that I wasn't sitting inside waiting for her attention to return. I nodded at her once, calm and steady, then went back to sanding. The next day, same thing. She walked around me like a stranger, silent but irritated. She slammed a few drawers, but never spoke. She was still sure she was teaching me some kind of lesson. What she didn't realize was simple. I had stopped playing the part she wrote for me. If she wanted distance, I'd use it. If she wanted silence, I'd fill it with my own life. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. By the end of that first week, Erica's silence had turned into a routine. She moved around the house like a shadow, always present, never speaking. I kept working in the garage. The noise didn't bother me anymore. The silence did, but not in the way she intended. On Saturday morning, my old friend Tyler texted me out of nowhere. "Haven't heard from you in months. Want coffee?" I met him at a cafe a few blocks away. When he saw me, he grinned and said, "Man, I thought you disappeared." "Busy," I said. He looked at my hands, noticed the sawdust I hadn't managed to scrub off. "You building again?" "Starting to," I said. He shook his head. "Good. You should have never stopped. You remember that shop downtown? The one that liked your end tables? They asked about you a while back. I froze. They asked? Yeah. Said they emailed you. Thought you weren't interested. I didn't remember getting anything like that. When I got home, Erica was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, pretending not to see me. I walked past her without a word and went straight to the office. I opened an old email account tied to my woodworking page. There they were, 5 messages from a boutique decor shop. The owner praised my work, asked if I'd bring samples, even offered shelf space. The last message was a reply. Thank you, but John has decided to decline. We appreciate the offer. Signed with my name. I stared at it. Erica had used that account before to help me organize. She knew the password. She knew the tone I wrote in. The message matched her style. Polite, firm, dismissive. The room felt smaller than before. Not because I was shocked, because I finally saw the whole picture. Her silence now wasn't new. It was the same control she'd used before, just louder. I walked into the garage and turned on the saw. Erica appeared in the doorway again, arms tight across her chest, jaw clenched. She still didn't speak. But for the first time, I saw frustration, not confidence, on her face. Her 30-day challenge wasn't working, and she could feel it slipping. The morning after I found the emails, I woke up with a different kind of clarity. I didn't confront Erica. There was nothing to confront. Her silence told me everything I needed to know about where we stood. Instead, I opened our joint account on my phone and looked through the last 6 months. The numbers didn't lie. Most of the mortgage, groceries, utility bills were paid by me. Her yoga studio, her women's circle, her monthly subscription boxes, the joint account covered those too. I lowered my contribution, not out of spite, just balance. I transferred only what was needed for half. That was it. Around noon, Erica walked past the bedroom doorway holding her phone like a lifeline. A notification must have hit. She stopped outside the door, waiting for me to explain something. I didn't look up. She exhaled sharply and left the room without a sound. By late afternoon, the spare bedroom became a studio. I carried in my sketches, a few finished pieces, and a small lamp. The space looked nothing like the rest of the house, just wood, tools, and plans. A room that felt like mine. That evening, I took photos of the table I'd finished and posted them on a simple page online. I didn't expect anything from it. 2 hours later, I got a message. Hi, John. I'm Maya Singh. I run a small interior design studio near the river. Your table caught my eye. Can I see it in person? I stared at her message for a long moment. Opportunity, on its own, without permission, without being filtered. When I carried the table out to the car for the meeting, Erica stood in the hallway, blocking half the doorway. Her eyes stayed cold, her lips pressed tight. She didn't move or speak. I stepped around her and closed the door behind me. She wanted silence. She was finally getting a taste of it. Maya's studio sat in a renovated brick building near the river. When I walked in carrying the table, she smiled and said, I've seen your work online, but this looks even better in person. She ran her hand along the surface, studying the grain. You made this by yourself? Yeah, I said. It's clean, it's balanced, and it feels solid. I'd take this on consignment today. If it sells, I want 2 more pieces. She said it like a fact, not a favor. For a moment, I just stood there, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time, recognized for something I could do, not something I failed to do. On the drive home, I parked a block from the house and pulled up the number of a lawyer I'd saved earlier, Naomi Carter. Her reviews said she was steady, firm, and direct. I needed someone like that. When she answered, her voice was calm and professional. Naomi Carter, how can I help you? I told her everything. Erica's 30-day silence, the emails she answered for me, the friends who pushed the plan. Not in a dramatic way, just facts. When I finished, Naomi didn't hesitate. What you're describing is not a communication tactic. It's controlling behavior. You don't need to stay in that environment. No kids, I said. Separate finances. That puts you in a good position. If you choose to leave, you can do it cleanly. You won't have to argue in circles at home. Her certainty settled something inside me. Not anger, just direction. That week, I found a simple unit at the edge of town with tall windows and a ground floor workspace big enough for all my tools. Nothing fancy, just quiet and mine. I didn't tell Erica I signed the lease. She still hadn't spoken a word to me. She walked through the house like a stranger holding onto a rule book she didn't understand was backfiring. Every day she waited for me to break, to ask what was wrong. Every day I felt lighter. By Friday, I had half my tools moved to the new loft. Erica never noticed. She was too focused on her month of silence. She didn't realize I'd already decided what mine would look like. The moment everything aligned was almost too easy. On Friday afternoon, Erica stood in the hallway packing a small suitcase. Claire and Nina had invited her to a reset weekend at a lake cabin. 3 days of wine, yoga, and whatever advice they traded with each other. I heard her talking on speakerphone while she folded clothes. Claire said, "You're doing great. 2 weeks down. Stay strong. Don't say a word to him." Erica laughed quietly. "He barely says anything anymore. I think it's working." "Give it the full month," Nina added. "He'll get desperate. They always do." I stood in the doorway of the study and listened. There was nothing left to salvage. Not after that. Erica left at 6. The house door clicked shut like the last move in a long game neither of us wanted to admit we were playing. I waited 5 minutes, grabbed a rental van I'd picked up earlier, and got to work. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just motion. Clothes into boxes, tools into crates, books, laptop, camera equipment, personal documents, the table I'd just finished, a few framed sketches. Everything that belonged to me, not us. I didn't touch the couch, the bed, the dishes, the vases, the decor she picked. I didn't want pieces of a life built on rules and silence. By Saturday afternoon, the garage was empty. The spare room looked like no one had ever slept there. My side of the closet was bare. I loaded the last of the boxes into the van and looked around the house one final time. It didn't feel like home. It hadn't for a long time. On the kitchen table, I left a short letter. "Erica, I heard the plan. 30 days of silence. You were right about one thing. I needed space. 2 weeks was enough to see what life looks like without this game. I'm leaving. My attorney will be in touch. No calls, no messages. You wanted silence. Now I'm giving it back. John." I set the note and walked out. That night, in my new loft, surrounded by boxes and quiet air, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. At 9:47 p.m., my phone lit up. Erica calling. Then again. I let it ring. Her month of silence ended the moment she realized I was gone. Mine had just begun. By Monday morning, Naomi had already filed the initial paperwork. She moved quickly, with the kind of precision that left no room for confusion or drama. She told me to expect messages, calls, maybe even surprise visits. She said people who rely on control don't handle losing it well. She was right. Erica sent the first message. "We need to talk. This isn't funny." Then, "Where are you? Answer me." By noon, the tone shifted. "Please, John, come home. We can fix this. I didn't mean for it to go this far." It was Claire's idea. I thought it would help us. Naomi told me not to reply. "Silence isn't revenge," she said. "It's protection." 3 days later, I sat across from Erica in a small conference room for mediation. She looked different, exhausted, pale, with the kind of expression you only see on someone who realizes the ground under their feet wasn't stable after all. Her lawyer tried to argue for spousal support and a larger share of assets. Naomi shut it down calmly. "Mr. Miller carried the financial weight in this marriage," Naomi said. "We have records. We also have documented interference with his professional opportunities." She slid printed emails onto the table, the messages Erica sent to the shop on my behalf. Erica flinched. "That was over a year ago. It wasn't a big deal." The mediator read them, then looked at her. "You answered business inquiries without his consent. That is a big deal." Erica shook her head and stared at me. "You're really ending everything over a few bad decisions?" I kept my voice steady. "You didn't just ignore me for 2 weeks, Erica. You erased me long before that." She blinked fast, fighting tears. "I never thought you'd actually leave." That was the truth. She always believed I would stay, no matter what. When the mediation ended, the agreement was simple. She kept the house. I kept my tools, my income, and the loft. We split the savings evenly, no alimony, no further contact beyond documents. Outside the building, she caught up to me one last time. "John, do you still care at all?" I looked at her steady. "I care about the man I became when the noise stopped." and he doesn't fit in the life we had." She closed her eyes, stepped back, and let me walk away. Her silence finally meant something real. I settled into the loft faster than I expected. The place was quiet, open, and mine in a way nothing had been for years. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to shrink to fit inside my own life. The divorce finalized in 6 months. I didn't go to the courthouse. Naomi handled everything. When the final email came through, decree signed, case closed, I stared at my screen for a long moment. Not sad, not angry, just free. 2 months later, I ran into Claire at a coffee shop near Midtown. She froze mid-step, holding a cup in one hand and her phone in the other. Her expression twisted with something between guilt and fear. "John." "Hey, how are you?" she asked. "I'm good," I said. It was the truth. I didn't think Erica meant for all that to happen. It got out of hand. I nodded. "I'm sure it did." She opened her mouth like she wanted to say more, but I walked past her. No anger, no scene, just distance. She hadn't earned anything else. A week later, I saw Erica too. She was alone, stepping out of her car near a grocery store. She looked thinner, smaller somehow. When she spotted me, she hesitated, then gave a timid wave. I gave a polite nod and kept walking. She didn't follow. Months passed, and my life expanded in quiet ways. I took weekend trips to the mountains, made friends who didn't require me to shrink myself. I even started dating, slowly, carefully, without losing parts of myself. One night, while sanding a piece of maple, I thought about the man I used to be, moving through my own home like a ghost, waiting for permission to speak, to breathe, to exist. Then I thought about now. Steady hands, clear mind, solid ground. Her friends told her to ignore me for a month. 2 weeks later, I showed them exactly what silence feels like. And in the quiet that followed, I finally heard myself again. Thank you for watching.